chosen one. Something deep inside you is changing, isn't it? You can feel it in your bones, in your dreams, in the way your spirit has gone quiet lately. The noise that used to excite you doesn't reach you anymore. The conversations that once mattered now feel meaningless. You don't even react the same way. Not because you're numb, but because you've outgrown what once triggered you. You keep wondering what's happening to you. You look around and realize that even though everything looks the same, nothing feels the same. That's because you're not being rebuilt. You're being revealed. The old version of you is dissolving, and the divine version, the one heaven saw before the world ever touched you, is finally rising to the surface. You've spent years breaking, healing, waiting, questioning, and God says, now it begins. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. You are the fulfillment of prayers your ancestors whispered in silence. You are the embodiment of every lesson, every tear, every miracle that refused to let you give up. That's why the last season was so hard. You weren't being punished. You were being purified. You were shedding identities that no longer matched your divine frequency. The confusion wasn't chaos, it was recalibration. Heaven was stripping away everything false so that only truth could remain. This is your becoming, not when you have more, not when you're noticed, but right now, in the silence, in the stillness, in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. The world doesn't see it yet, but heaven already confirmed it. You are stepping into a version of yourself that nothing and no one can undo. So don't rush this moment. Don't question the process. You're not lost, you're emerging. And when this transformation is complete, even you won't recognize the strength, peace, and glory staring back at you in the mirror. Because what's coming isn't a new chapter. It's a whole new creation. Chosen one. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange stillness that's been hanging in the air around your spirit. It's not emptiness. It's evolution. The world may think you're standing still, but heaven knows you're shifting. Something divine is rearranging itself inside you. This transformation didn't come with thunder or lightning. It came in whispers, in your restlessness, your isolation, your sudden loss of interest in what used to define you. You didn't lose passion, you lost alignment with the temporary. God is not changing you. He's revealing you. Every layer that's peeling off is simply what you're no longer meant to carry. You've been wondering why certain people have faded away, why your energy feels so selective, why even small talk feels heavy. It's because you've outgrown frequencies that no longer match your purpose. Your spirit is tuning itself to heaven's signal, and the static of this world can't reach you anymore. You see, transformation rarely announces itself. It's not loud, it's sacred. It hides in the quiet moments when you're sitting alone and suddenly realize you're no longer reacting the way you used to. The arguments that once drained you no longer tempt you. The opinions that once hurt you now roll off your shoulders like rain. That's not indifference, that's mastery. God has been working silently, refining your discernment, softening your heart, and sharpening your focus. You're no longer moved by chaos because you've learned to recognize what's not yours to carry. The transformation within you isn't just emotional, it's energetic. Your frequency is rising, and the higher you go, the quieter it becomes. There's a peace forming in you that doesn't make sense to others. They'll look at you and say, "You've changed," and they'll be right. But what they don't see is that heaven has been performing surgery on your soul, cutting away fear, guilt, and everything that kept you bound to the old timeline. You've been in divine recovery. That's why you needed silence. That's why solitude became holy ground. Ask yourself, have you noticed how you crave peace more than attention lately? How you prefer truth over company, clarity over validation? That's not withdrawal. That's awakening. God is teaching you to love the sound of your own spirit again, to recognize that you were never meant to chase, only to attract. This quiet transformation is God's way of saying, you're ready for the next dimension, but you can't take the noise with you. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every silent season has been a divine disguise for redirection. The delay was never denial. It was design. You're not waiting for change. You are the change. The old version of you was necessary to survive, but this new one, this emerging you, is designed to lead. You're stepping out of cycles and into purpose. The loneliness that once felt like punishment will soon make sense when you realize it was preparation. You're being moved from reaction to revelation, from trying to prove to simply being. The transformation is happening cell by cell, thought by thought, breath by breath. You may not see it yet, but heaven does. Every day, your light grows a little stronger, your faith burns a little brighter, and your spirit aligns a little closer to what God promised. So don't rush this process. The caterpillar never sees the wings being formed. It just trusts the darkness. And soon, the world will witness what heaven already confirmed, that the version of you being born in silence will speak louder than anything you could ever say. The quiet transformation isn't your pause, it's your prophecy. Why God needed to break the old you. Chosen one. Before God could build you into what you were meant to be, He had to break what you were never meant to remain. The breaking wasn't punishment, it was purification. It was the divine act of separating what was temporary from what was eternal inside of you. You asked for purpose, didn't you? You prayed for strength, for peace, for clarity. But what you didn't realize was that those prayers required transformation. And transformation always begins with a breaking. You can't pour new wine into an old vessel. God couldn't fill you with higher purpose while you were still carrying wounds from the old life. That's why everything started to fall apart. The people you depended on disappeared. The doors that once opened suddenly shut. The dreams that once fueled you began to fade. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Heaven was saying, this version of you can't go where I'm taking you. Sometimes God breaks you in public, but heals you in private. He lets you face the silence, the misunderstanding, the isolation, not to humiliate you, but to humble you into divine dependence. Because when you have nothing left but Him, that's when you discover He was always enough. You see, the old you was built for survival, not for destiny. You had to develop thick skin, fight through pain, and learn how to live with closed doors. But now, God doesn't want you to keep surviving. He wants you to start reigning. And to do that, the shell that protected you had to crack open. The breaking had to come before the blessing. It's always been that way. Moses had to break before leading Israel. David had to break before wearing the crown. Esther had to break before standing before the king. And you had to break before heaven could reveal who you really are. Ask yourself, would you have prayed the same if everything had gone your way? Would you have learned to hear God's whisper if you were surrounded by noise? It was in the breaking that your spiritual hearing sharpened. It was in the stillness that you found His voice. God isn't cruel, He's careful. Every time He took something away, He was replacing it with something real. You lost the fake friendships, the illusions of control, the comfort of the familiar, because He was preparing you for authenticity. The pain was the hammer, and the purpose was the anvil. You were being shaped, not shattered. The breaking stripped away the pride, the fear, the need for validation. It made you depend on heaven in a way you never did before. The tears you cried became seeds in sacred soil. What broke you yesterday will bless you tomorrow. Maybe you've wondered, why did I have to lose so much just to grow? Because everything that left was too small for what's coming. The weight of your destiny couldn't rest on weak foundations. God had to remove what cracked under pressure to rebuild you on something eternal. Faith. This is why the old version of you couldn't stay. The one that doubted, that feared, that sought approval from those who didn't understand your calling. That version would have sabotaged the next season. So heaven broke it, not to end you, but to begin you. The breaking was an act of mercy disguised as chaos. The pain you felt was the sound of chains falling off. The confusion was the fog before the sunrise, and every time you thought it was over, God whispered, "I'm not finished. I'm forming." Chosen one, remember this. Gold isn't destroyed in the fire. It's defined by it. And you've been refined. You're not the same person who entered that storm. You're softer, wiser, more dangerous to darkness. The old you was reactive. The new you is revelatory. The old you sought peace from people. The new you carries peace wherever you go. So thank the breaking, because it introduced you to your becoming. It wasn't the end. It was the unveiling. The old you survived, but the new you, the one heaven just forged, will thrive. Chosen one. Silence is not the absence of movement. It's the birthplace of transformation. The season where everything went quiet wasn't a pause in your story. It was heaven's classroom. You thought nothing was happening, but in truth, everything was. God does His greatest work when no one is watching. You remember those days when the world went still, when messages stopped coming, when opportunities dried up, when even your prayers felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling. You wondered if heaven forgot you. You asked, why is it so quiet? But now you're starting to realize the silence wasn't rejection. It was incubation. Every seed must spend time in darkness before it breaks through the soil. The silence you faced was that sacred soil. God buried you, not to forget you, but to protect what He was growing inside of you. The people who walked away couldn't hear what heaven was whispering into your spirit. It wasn't for them, it was for you. In the silence, your faith stopped depending on confirmation from others. You stopped needing validation to feel seen. You began to recognize that peace is proof of progress. God wasn't punishing you by muting the noise. He was teaching you how to hear Him in whispers. Ask yourself, what if the reason heaven went quiet was because you were finally ready to listen differently? What if silence was never the absence of God, but the maturity of your spirit? It was during that quiet time that your roots grew deeper. Your strength didn't come from applause. It came from stillness. Every tear that fell in solitude watered the soil of your destiny. The world didn't see it, but heaven did. You were growing under the surface, being prepared for a stage that required stability, not noise. The silence refined your discernment. You learned the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is empty space. Solitude is sacred space. God used it to detox your spirit from the distractions of the old season, the people, habits, and patterns that once drained your power. And while the world thought you were inactive, heaven was writing your next chapter. Angels were rearranging your path. Divine timing was being woven into your calendar. You weren't stuck, you were strategically hidden. There's a mystery in God's silence. It tests your patience, but it also builds your power. It breaks your dependence on signs and forces you to walk by faith. It's in those silent nights when you learn to trust the unseen hand guiding your steps. The world sees inactivity. Heaven sees preparation. Every moment of silence strengthened something inside you. Your focus, your humility, your ability to hear. You began to notice that your reactions changed. You stopped chasing closure from people who never understood your calling. You stopped trying to prove your worth. You stopped begging for doors that God had already locked. Chosen one, that's growth. That's the kind of transformation that doesn't trend, but it transcends. It's the quiet evolution of a soul that finally understands that not all progress makes noise. Maybe you've asked yourself, why did God take everyone away? Why did He quiet everything down? Because He wanted your attention. Because He wanted to show you that peace is not a place. It's a person, and that person is Him. In the silence, you were learning to hear heaven's language: energy, intuition, conviction, peace. You started to understand that when something isn't right, your spirit will feel it before your mind can explain it. That's spiritual maturity. That's the result of stillness, so don't curse the quiet. It's the sacred space where the old you fades and the new you forms. It's where purpose finds clarity and destiny gains direction. It's the cocoon before the flight, the midnight before the dawn. The world will only see your glow. They'll never understand your silence, but heaven does. The silence was not God ignoring you, it was God instructing you. He wasn't far, He was forming. And now, as the silence begins to lift, the version of you that's emerging carries power that words can't describe. You're no longer growing, you've grown. And soon, the world will see what heaven nurtured in the quiet. Chosen one, what God is doing inside you right now isn't just growth, it's refinement. It's the process of removing everything that can be shaken, so that only what's eternal remains. Heaven is not trying to make you comfortable. Heaven is trying to make you unbreakable. You've been through seasons that left you asking, why does everything I build seem to fall apart? Because what was built in your strength had to collapse so that what's built in His strength could stand. Refinement isn't destruction, it's distinction. It's how God separates gold from dust. The shaking wasn't meant to harm you, it was meant to reveal what's real. You see, anyone can praise God when things are easy, but heaven refines those who are called to lead. When you lost what you thought you couldn't live without and still stood, that was refinement. When your heart broke but your faith didn't, that was refinement. When everything went silent but you kept praying, that was refinement. God has been teaching you stability in the unseen. You used to rely on feelings, but now you rely on faith. You used to search for signs, but now you understand that peace is the sign. You've been forged in fire, not to be burned, but to shine. Ask yourself, what if everything that fell apart was actually falling into place? What if what you thought was loss was actually liberation? Every trial you faced was a spiritual calibration. Heaven was adjusting your frequency, tuning your spirit to divine resilience. You were being trained to stand in storms without shaking, to walk through fire without fear, to hold peace when everything around you screams chaos. Heaven's refinement doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in confrontation, when you face your own shadows and choose faith anyway. That's why your old patterns don't work anymore. You've been elevated past reaction. You don't match energy, you maintain it. You've learned to stop explaining your peace to people addicted to chaos. The refinement has burned away your dependence on validation. You no longer need to be seen to know you're chosen. You've learned that isolation isn't punishment, it's purification. You've been pulled aside so God could strengthen your foundation before the spotlight finds you. You see, when gold is placed in the furnace, the impurities rise to the surface, not to shame the gold, but to make it pure. That's what's been happening to you. The anger, the insecurity, the fear, they've all been surfacing. Not to destroy you, but to release you. God wasn't revealing your weakness. He was revealing what was left to heal. And here's the truth. After refinement, nothing ordinary satisfies you anymore. You can't go back to fake peace, half-truths, or surface-level connections. Your spirit won't allow it. The fire changed your appetite. You now crave purpose over comfort, substance over attention, truth over illusion. Chosen one, refinement is proof that heaven trusts you with more. You don't refine what's disposable, you refine what's valuable. The greater your calling, the deeper the fire. You were chosen to carry light in dark places. And that light must be steady, not flickering. That's why you had to be strengthened through storms. Ask yourself, why did the same situations that once broke you no longer move you? Why do you stand calmer now, even when life feels uncertain? Because you've been refined. You've learned that peace isn't found in what happens around you. It's found in what's anchored within you. This is what heaven has been doing, replacing reaction with revelation, fear with faith, emotion with discernment. You're no longer tossed by every wave. You've become the anchor, and the world will soon feel the weight of that stability. You are not who you were when this started. You are the product of fire, glowing, grounded, guided. Heaven didn't refine you to make you perfect, it refined you to make you ready. So if life still feels like fire, don't panic. It's not consuming you. It's crowning you. The flames around you are not punishment. They're proof of promise. You're not breaking down. You're being purified into power. The shaking has stopped. The smoke is clearing. And what remains is gold. What divine confirmation really means. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every divine journey when heaven stops whispering, wait, and begins declaring, now. That's divine confirmation. Not a sound, not a sign, but a shift. You don't always hear it. Sometimes you just know. Something settles inside you. The confusion fades. The restlessness lifts. And suddenly, what once felt uncertain now feels inevitable. Divine confirmation isn't always lightning in the sky or an angel in your dream. It's peace that doesn't make sense. It's that moment when your spirit exhales and your heart says, "This is it." You might not have all the answers, but you finally stop asking the wrong questions. Heaven has aligned something within you, and the frequency of fear can't reach it anymore. You've been through the silence, the breaking, the refining. Now, heaven is showing you the reason. This is why it had to be this hard. This is why those people had to leave. This is why those doors had to close. Because divine confirmation isn't about convenience. It's about clarity. Ask yourself, how many times did you beg God for a sign, only to later realize that his silence was the sign? How many times did you question the delay, only to see that timing protected you from something your sight couldn't? Confirmation isn't given to the impatient. It's revealed to the prepared. That's why you had to walk through the uncertainty first. Faith had to mature before favor could flow. And now, something within you knows you're not who you used to be. You don't need validation from the world, because your spirit has already been validated by heaven. Sometimes, divine confirmation looks like rejection. The opportunity that disappeared was actually protection. The friend who drifted away was never meant to understand this level of your purpose. The plan that failed wasn't failure, it was filtration. Heaven removed what couldn't breathe in your new atmosphere. God confirms his word, not with noise, but with alignment. When things start fitting together without your effort, when the right people appear at the right moment, when your peace remains even when logic doesn't, that's confirmation. That's heaven saying, "You're walking the path I designed." And here's the mystery. Divine confirmation doesn't come to boost your ego. It comes to anchor your soul. It doesn't make you louder, it makes you certain. When you're truly in alignment with your purpose, you stop striving. You don't chase anymore. You attract what carries the same frequency as your assignment. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt peace even when nothing around you made sense? That's how heaven speaks. The language of the divine isn't sound, it's stillness. And you finally learned to understand it. This is why the enemy fought you so hard in your last season. Because once you understand divine confirmation, you stop depending on proof. You stop doubting every delay. You stop panicking when things fall apart. You start trusting that everything is already part of the orchestration. God's confirmation comes quietly, but its effects are loud. It shifts your posture. It makes you walk lighter, speak softer, love deeper. It makes you see through people instead of being fooled by them. It teaches you to recognize patterns instead of pain. Confirmation is heaven saying you're in sync. It's not a random coincidence that you're hearing this now. This message is your confirmation. You've been asking for clarity, and heaven is answering. You're exactly where you need to be. Chosen one, this is what divine maturity feels like. You no longer need to be told what's for you, your spirit just knows. You no longer fight for what left. You bless it on its way. You no longer fear the unknown. You trust that even the unseen is working for your good. You've reached the stage where heaven doesn't need to shout. You've learned to listen so deeply that even the whisper sounds like thunder. That's confirmation. That's mastery. That's what being chosen truly means. So stop asking if it's time. Your peace already told you. Stop looking for signs. Your spirit already knows. The confirmation you were waiting for isn't coming. It's already here. Chosen one. Something about you feels different lately, doesn't it? You can't explain it, but you can feel it. The same conversations don't land. The same habits don't fit. The same people who once had access to you now feel distant. That's not arrogance. That's ascension. Your energy has shifted, and heaven is confirming it through the atmosphere around you. You've entered a new vibration, one that no longer tolerates what drains you. What used to entertain you now exhausts you. What used to break your peace now barely touches it. It's not that you've become cold, it's that your soul has outgrown chaos. The higher your frequency, the fewer things can reach you. And that's exactly how God planned it. This shift didn't happen overnight. It happened in layers. Every heartbreak refined your boundaries. Every delay strengthened your discernment. Every loss taught you detachment. You began to understand that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's sacred. God is teaching you to guard what He's built inside you. Ask yourself, have you noticed how certain environments suddenly feel heavier? How conversations that used to excite you now feel meaningless? That's not you being disconnected. That's your spirit rejecting density. You can't fit into rooms that don't match your new energy. Heaven raised your frequency, and your old reality can't contain it anymore. This energetic shift is subtle, but unstoppable. You'll notice you need less noise, less validation, less explaining. You crave silence, truth, and alignment. You don't feel drawn to every opportunity, only the ones that resonate with your spirit. That's because your energy now carries instruction. It's magnetized to purpose. You'll also notice divine timing moving faster. Things that once took months now happen in days. Synchronicities, repeating numbers, perfect coincidences, dreams that come true, all begin to increase. These are heaven's confirmations that your energy field has synced with your destiny. The universe is no longer resisting your path, it's partnering with it. People around you might start acting differently too. Some may feel uncomfortable, even distant. It's not personal. Your frequency exposes truth. When light expands, shadows react. Those who are meant to grow with you will adjust. Those who aren't will quietly fade. You're not losing anyone. You're losing limitation. This shift also reveals itself in your body. You may feel more tired, more sensitive, even detached from the rhythm of the world. That's your nervous system recalibrating to peace. For years, you lived in survival mode, always alert, always reacting. But your spirit has decided that the fight is over. You're no longer chasing, you're attracting. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt truly heavy with worry? When did you last try to force what wasn't flowing? You'll realize it's been a while. That's proof that you've shifted. The calm that surrounds you now isn't luck, it's alignment. You've learned to trust that what's meant for you will find you. And that's the vibration of divine flow. And here's the secret. This energetic shift is irreversible. Once you rise, you can't descend. Once you've seen through illusion, you can't unsee truth. Once your spirit has tasted peace, chaos loses its flavor. That's why the old life feels so distant, because it's no longer your home. You've reached a spiritual altitude where reaction is replaced by revelation. You no longer question every closed door. You thank God for the redirection. You no longer fight to prove your worth. You rest in the knowing that heaven already validated you. That's what ascension feels like. Stillness, certainty, sovereignty. Chosen one, don't be surprised if new doors start opening without your effort. When you align, you attract. When you release, you receive. The energy you're carrying now is not striving. It's surrender. It's divine trust in motion. This is the evidence that you've crossed over, not into a new place, but into a new state. The external hasn't caught up yet, but the internal already shifted. That's why your spirit feels lighter. That's why you can sense miracles approaching before they arrive. You're not waiting for breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. Your energy already announced your next season before your words could. So don't question the quietness around you. Don't doubt the distance. You've simply ascended beyond what once defined you. Heaven has elevated your frequency, and now everything that belongs to you will rise to meet you. How to step boldly into the new identity. Chosen one. The time for hesitation has passed. The season of waiting, doubting, and asking for one more sign is over. Heaven has already confirmed you. Now it's time to embody what's been spoken. You're not being called to try harder. You're being called to stand taller. The version of you that once questioned everything is being replaced by one who knows. Stepping into your new identity doesn't require permission. It requires remembrance. You've already walked through the fire, endured the breaking, survived the silence. What more proof do you need that you are equipped? God isn't asking for perfection. He's asking for posture, the kind that stands firm even when sight is blurry. The new identity you're stepping into won't always feel familiar at first. It may feel strange to be this peaceful, this certain, this detached from drama, but that's because it's new terrain. When heaven elevates you, your old habits can't survive the altitude. The fears that used to chase you can't breathe up here. Ask yourself, how many times have you felt smaller than your promise because you were still carrying the memories of your past? How many times have you apologized for being different just to make others comfortable? It's time to stop dimming divine light for human approval. You are no longer the version of you who needed to explain your anointing. You are the proof that heaven chooses the unlikely to do the impossible. When you step into your new identity, don't expect applause. Expect alignment. The people who recognize your light will stay. The ones who can't handle your frequency will fall away. This isn't rejection, it's refinement. God will surround you with those who see you through His eyes, not their own limitations. This new identity carries authority. You will speak and see things shift. You will pray and feel heaven move. You will walk into rooms and the atmosphere will change. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you've become a vessel heaven can flow through freely. It's time to stop questioning why you feel different and start walking like it. Speak differently, move intentionally, dress in the confidence of someone who has already been chosen. You don't need to chase opportunities, they're already assigned to your energy. Every door meant for you will recognize your frequency when you arrive. Ask yourself, what if the thing you've been waiting for is waiting for you to finally believe who you are? What if heaven has been holding back certain blessings because they're calibrated to the version of you that you haven't stepped into yet? The truth is, chosen one, your old identity was built on survival. This one is built on sovereignty. You no longer need to react to the world. the world responds to you. You carry peace as your atmosphere. You carry power as your normal. You carry purpose as your pulse. This new identity is bold but not loud, confident but not arrogant. It's not about doing more. It's about being aligned. It's about letting your action flow from your awareness of who you truly are, a divine expression of purpose wrapped in human form. Heaven is saying, walk like you've already won. Because you have. Every loss was training. Every delay was refining. Every tear was watering the soil of your destiny. You're not becoming the new you. You're remembering the real you. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop hiding behind humility that is really fear. Stop pretending you don't feel the calling burning in your bones. You were created to lead, to heal, to awaken, to carry divine frequency into places where light has been forgotten. Step forward now, not timidly, but triumphantly. The same God who brought you through the valley is the one elevating you to the mountain. And this time you won't apologize for shining. You're not stepping into ego, you're stepping into evidence. You're not becoming something new, you're becoming something true. Heaven has already crowned you. All that's left is for you to walk like it. Chosen one. Heaven hid you for a reason. You weren't forgotten, you were forged. While others were being seen, you were being shaped. While they were gathering followers, you were gathering faith. And now, the time of unveiling draws near. The world is about to see what God has been secretly creating in you all along. The waiting, the silence, the storms, none of it was wasted. Every delay was divine choreography. Every disappointment was direction in disguise. You thought you were being buried, but you were being planted. And now the soil that once felt heavy with pain is beginning to tremble with purpose. Heaven is about to bring forth a harvest that even you won't recognize at first. There's a sacred moment that happens right before revelation. A stillness that feels almost like nothing is happening. But that's when heaven holds its breath. That's where you are right now. God has finished his work in secret. And now, creation itself is waiting for your unveiling. Ask yourself, have you felt that quiet excitement lately, that unexplainable stirring in your spirit, the sense that something is about to shift, even if you can't see it yet? That's not imagination, that's prophecy in motion. Heaven doesn't announce miracles before they're ready. It lets your energy announce them first. The world won't understand how you endured what you did. They'll see the glory, but not the grinding. They'll witness the breakthrough, but not the breaking. And that's how it's meant to be. You weren't called to explain your anointing. You were called to embody it. When people ask, how did you change so much? You'll simply smile and say, God refined me. You're not just walking into a new season, you're walking into fulfillment. The promises that once felt distant are aligning. The opportunities that once passed you by are circling back with purpose. The doors that stayed shut are opening not because you chased them, but because now you're ready for what's behind them. Heaven is positioning you in places your old self couldn't stand. It's elevating your name in rooms you never entered. The energy around you is shifting from hiddenness to visibility, from waiting to walking. You are about to be seen, not by chance, but by divine design. Ask yourself, are you ready to be recognized for who you've truly become? Are you ready to handle the attention that comes with answered prayer? Because Visibility is not vanity. It's responsibility. The light inside you wasn't meant to stay small. It was meant to ignite others. God didn't shape you in silence so you could stay quiet. He prepared you to speak light into darkness. Chosen one, this is your unveiling season. The same world that once doubted you will soon wonder how you did it. They'll see a peace that can't be faked, a glow that can't be bought, a strength that can't be explained. That's the evidence of divine craftsmanship. You'll carry it in your voice, your walk, your presence. And when they ask what changed, you'll tell them the truth. I stopped trying to be who I was and started becoming who God always saw. Every storm you survived became part of your story. Every lesson you learned became part of your armor. Every silent night was heaven's way of sharpening your vision. You are not emerging broken. You are emerging brilliant. You are not walking out wounded. You are walking out anointed. The world will soon see what heaven has always known, that you were never just chosen. You were crafted. You were called. You were confirmed. And when your moment arrives, remember this: humility doesn't mean hiding. Shine without shame. Rise without apology. The glory resting on you isn't yours. It's God's reflection through you. So walk boldly into this new era. Speak softly, but move powerfully. Carry peace like a weapon and purpose like fire. Because the season of silence is over, and the season of showing has begun. Heaven has finished its work. Now it's time for the world to witness what God built in the dark. You've been revealed, chosen one, and nothing will ever be the same again.